Hi folks, with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about, a series of travel adverts that have come online here in my feed, at least, exhorting Australians to travel to Europe and to visit the castles and visit the Eiffel Tower and so on and so forth, the Tower of London and goodness knows what. So iconic type of tourist destinations, take a river cruise, see the castles of the Rhine River in Germany and so on. So what's unusual about these adverts? Surely, travel adverts have been around for a long time. Well, what's interesting is in these travel adverts, there is only white people. There is not a single brown or black person in sight. So when they have their little, look at the Eiffel Tower, they're saying visit the Eiffel Tower. There are no, Eastern European or black or brown hustler street vendors, no black people or brown Moroccans or anything running around. It's only white people, very sedately and very leisurely enjoying the sights and taking in, and they're having a little, sitting on seats overlooking the Seine River while a nice little boat goes past, river cruise boat full of only white people. And then it's, go and visit the historic area of Montmartre. It is, again, there's only white people. Wherever you go in Paris, there is only white people, according to this advert. Now, and other adverts I've seen, by the way, that's not the only one. Now, that couldn't be further from true. Why are they omitting the cultural enrichment? Why are they omitting all the, the sleazy black and brown street hustlers, and why, the riotous mobs, the illegals all camped in tents along the road? Why are they omitting all that? Why aren't they showing that in all its enriching glory? So the sanitized version of what Europe is like, whether it be in Germany or Paris or in England, London and southern England. So it is a totally sanitized version of how Europe is. There's, again, nowhere do they show a single black or brown person. The upmarket river cruises, only white people. Eiffel Tower, everywhere you go, there is only white people. Now, I remember the first time I went to France as an adult on business, and I had to go to a few places, Brussels and Paris and somewhere else, and I think it was Frankfurt was the other place. Anyway, so I'm only a young guy here, so I'm like early to mid-20s type age range, and I don't remember seeing brown and black people in any sort of quantity where I would consider it notable. Everywhere where I went, at least. But bear in mind that I'm business, so I was more in business districts rather than other areas. But I didn't have a whole lot of time. But I went to a couple of museums while I was there. Again, it was only white people, and it was only when I was in an airport south of Rome. I can't remember what it was now. One of the cities, Taranto or somewhere in the south, where I was surprised at the number of black people, and it was in the airport, and there was a number of scuffles and fights broke out between the police and these black Africans, that funny Italian thing where they jump up and slap the back of the head and kick you in the shin at the same time. It was almost comical, actually, watching this. But anyway, there was quite a serious, smaller sort of sporadic brawls broke out between the police and these black people. But that was the first time, or the only time, I think, then anyway, at least in Europe, that I went back, as I went to Italy a number of times on business, and there was this nightclub was just around the corner from I'm still in my 20s at this point, a nightclub around the corner from this quite nice hotel I was staying at. And so I wandered in there more out of academic interest to have a look. And there were quite a lot of black people, mainly black women, that were in this nightclub. And I was advised that they were the the daughters of Nigerian princes and all this sort of thing. And maybe they were, maybe they weren't, I don't know. They certainly didn't look poor. They were decked out in expensive sort of kit. So I'm assuming that whatever they were, they had a financially privileged sort of background. But otherwise, I just didn't see black people around the place. And then suddenly in the late 90s, probably mid 90s, really it began to just go off the charts and explode. And so you started to see a lot more of brown and black people just arriving at low IQ, sort of zero skilled people that are going to be nothing but a drain on society rather than a benefit. The idea that they're all, rocket science engineers or something, it's just beyond absurd. So coming back to the adverts though, now recently there was just over the last few days, there were some riots in France, and I'll focus on Paris just for the where the media is pretending that there weren't any riots, just a few football hooligans having a bit of a run around. But the reality is the damage, certainly based on the online videos that I've seen, the damage was considerable. Now, something in the order, so it's alleged, of 200,000 brown and black young men and some women were rioting, looting stores and just wanton, senseless destruction of property and so on, tearing up street signs and waving them around as trophies. So now 200,000 people riot, and some of these riots were quite serious. I mean, serious damage. I think you're breaking into a shopping centre and tearing it to pieces almost. But what did the police do? Now, the claim is that somewhere in the order of 1,000 people were arrested. So 200,000 people riot and 1,000 people are arrested. So you've got less than one. If you're a rioter, a black-brown rioter, you've got less than 1 in 100 chance of being caught and arrested, and there won't be any follow-up arrest. Doesn't matter how clear you are on street cameras, the police aren't interested in doing any follow-up. You're not going to get arrested or held to account or fined or given good behaviour bond or be forced to do community service. Nothing like that. You'll get away with it. You've got a very, very slim chance. And the way that, too, based on the footage video that I've seen, these people, they seem to think that running away is, the police have no authority. This is white man's law, white man's police. That you have no authority, you have no legitimacy. We don't have to, accept your instructions. And if you come at us with batons and riot shields, we'll just run away. And watching the way the police operated, they didn't appear to be trying to arrest anybody. They were only interested in dispersing the crowd and moving it along, not in actually enforcing the law and doing arrests. So I would, given the amount of video footage that I've seen in different scenarios around Paris, I would assume the police are under instructions. Look, only arrest the most grievous and egregious cases of law breaking. Otherwise, just disperse them and move them along. Just try and get them out of the area or get them out of the street or that sort of thing. And I'm guessing they would see this as a way of diffusing the situation rather than, now, should they go in there with riot shields and batons and truncheons in the same way that they do when white people are protesting? Should they do that? Well, yeah. Should they enforce the law? Absolutely. The law is codified and it applies to everybody. So should they be, when you destroy property and riot like that, you then set fire to things, then you get arrested. That's how it works. But the police clearly didn't really want to do that. And again, if 200,000 people are rioting and looting, just the people that I counted, just watching one video went for 5 minutes, people looting. There was more than 1,000 people were engaged in the looting. And yet out of 200,000 rioters, only 1,000 get arrested. I mean, how many of those will be charged? Some are already being released without charge. So we're looking at a pitifully small number. Why? Why? When the law breaking is so brazen and in your face, why are the authorities so reluctant to punish it? I really don't understand that. Is it the interests of community cohesion? we let all these brown and black people break the law to whatever extent they want. If they go one out breaking the law, the police probably would jump on them. But if they go as a group or a mob, their chances of getting arrested or held to account are about zero. This is something they know. They've worked it out. When they operate as a mob, the community cohesion issue kicks in, racial community, that type of thing, and then the police back off. And again, all they do is disperse and move them along rather than arrest them, which is astonishing to me. They should be arrested en masse. Okay, if you guys want to break the law so brazenly like this and riot and mobs and then fine. Okay, we'll send you back to Morocco or I don't know, wherever the fuck they come from in sub-Saharan Africa. And that would be the disincentive. Once you have those disincentives in place, then they start to think twice. But there's really no penalty for mob riots and stealing and looting. The chances of getting caught are very slim indeed. And I would say there'd be less overall, given that even the ones they arrest, they let go. I would argue that the chances of getting caught and held to account will be less than half of 1% for all the rioters. So it's in terms of risk reward factor, you might as well just go ahead, riot and loot the shit out of anything you see at any time, and the police just won't do anything, and the authorities will place so-called alleged fantasies of community cohesion over anything resembling law and order. Now, coming back now to the travel adverts, why do the travel adverts not mention any of this? The chance of getting caught up in a riot, chances of getting raped and beaten and robbed, and this sort of thing. Now, I've known people recently that've travelled in Europe, and there's a guy was in Paris, and he's an older gentleman, not particularly fit, and a black guy demanded that he buy whatever he's selling, like, I don't know, some article of clothing. And the black guy demanded that he buy it at an extortionate price, by the way, and became physically menacing when the guy didn't want to. And the guy felt so intimidated by this that he bought the article of clothing, even though he didn't want it or need it. And another guy, again, an elderly gentleman who's in quite frail health in his case. I think it was in Athens, and he got separated from the tour group he was with, and again they must watch like predators. So as soon as he got detached, they zoomed in and again demanded that he buy the stuff that they had at ridiculous prices, and he paid it and considered himself lucky that he didn't get assaulted or beaten up or something. So this thing, why aren't those sort of things appearing in the adverts? Well, they give a sanitized version of the advert that was Europe from 30 years ago, where there was only white people, hardly anything other than white people. And I walked around the Eiffel Tower when I first went there, again as an adult. See, I'd gone there actually as a child with my grandparents, but walked around there as an adult and had a look around, and I don't remember seeing any black or brown people. Maybe they were there, but I didn't see them. It was white people, white couples, the romance of Paris, the city of romance, going around, tourists, and white people were asking, could you take a husband and wife, could you take our picture with the Eiffel Tower in the background? That's a very congenial, very civilized, very well behaved. There was absolutely no drama or law breaking that I could see. But when I look at around the Eiffel Tower today, you realise that is a view of yesteryear that is long gone. So I don't know why the travel and the tourist companies provide such a sanitised version that is now light years away from the reality on the ground. You've been Tassus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.